Hi friends, this is Mohan and welcome to the session. Friends, in this session we are going to discuss Elastic Compute Cloud Windows Flavor. First, let us see the definition of EC2 instance. This managed service is called Elastic Compute Cloud. It is a resizable compute capacity in the cloud which can be customized according to your need, which means you can select your own operating system, your CPU, your RAM, your storage, your required network, etc. And this is the best example for IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service. Let us see the steps to create the EC2 instance. First step, we need to select the AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. And second step, we need to select the CPU, volume, network, etc. Accordingly, we need to select the instance type. And here we need to provide the configuration details like how many instances required and your network details, that is VPC, subnets, and shutdown behavior, roles addition, etc. And here you are going to provide the storage details, both root volume and optional volumes. You can add the tags. Adding tags is optional, but you can add up to 50 tags for your EC2 instance. And here you are going to create the security groups, that is basically you are going to construct the firewall across your instance. That firewalls will decide the inbound and outbound traffic to your EC2 instance. And you are going to create the key pair, that is private key and public key, and we are going to launch the EC2 instance. Let me switch to my AWS console. This is my AWS console. First we need to select the region. As of now, AWS is providing 18 regions for public and 2 per US government, 1 per China government, and 1 per China people, that is local, and those 4 will not be visible for general public. For general public there are 18 regions. First you need to select the region in which you wanted to launch your EC2 instance. For this demo I am selecting North Virginia, and here you can see all the services offered by AWS, that is compute services management, AWS cost management, etc. Either you go and click on your required instance, or you can come here. This is the search bar. You can search the required service. EC2 is nothing but a virtual servers in the cloud. I'm click on it. As you can see, there are 0 running instances. I'm going to launch the instance. Click on launch instance. First step, choose AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image, which is a template which contains the software configuration like operating system, application server, and application. And these AMIs you can get from different options. One is quick start. Quick start means here you can see all the AMIs offered by AWS. Few of them are available under free tier. Few of these AMIs will be available under free tier, and few of them are not available under free tier, as you can see here. If you want to see only the available AMIs under free tier, just select this option. It will filter and show all the AMIs which are available under free tier. If you select any AMI which is not covered under free tier, then you need to pay the extra amount. This is the first option. Second option, if you have already AMIs created, you can go ahead to this option, my AMIs, and all your AMIs will be listed here. You can select the required AMI. Is showing that you have not created any AMIs. And third option is AWS Marketplace. If someone has the AMIs, what they can do is they can place it in AWS Marketplace. Just like selling your second-hand cars, you can go ahead and choose the required AMI. That is, if any AMI which is satisfying for your requirement, you can select the AMIs from here also, which is little bit cheaper than the AMIs which originally AWS is providing. Next, community AMIs. Here different communities are there, Linux community, Windows community, Red Hat community. You select that and you can select the required AMI under this option. So there are four options. I am going with quick start. Under free tag, let me see which Windows version is available under free tag. This is the Windows instance which is available under free tier. I am going to select this. Now I selected my AMI. So depends on the number of CPUs required and instance storage, network performance, etc. We need to select the corresponding instance type. But in free tier, the only one instance which is available is T2.micro. Now I am going to select this. I'm going to next section, that is configure instance details. This is another important section. Here you have to provide the number of instances required. For this demo I am going with one instance. This is purchasing option. I will create separate video for this. And this particular section is represents the network related details. First, network. This is the VPC. I didn't create the VPC. I am going with default one. And these are subnets. In North Virginia region, we have 6 subnets. You can select any one of these subnets in which you wanted to launch EC2 instance, or if you don't have any preference, just leave it as a default. Then AWS will launch your EC2 instance where they have the more capacity, in which subnet they have the more capacity. And third option is auto assign public IP. Here you can see the 3 options. Let me explain you one by one. First option is use subnet setting. If you have a subnet and per that subnet, if you enable auto assign public IP address, and whenever we are going to launch the EC2 instance in that subnet, then the EC2 instance will be associated with public IP. Let me repeat once again. If you create subnet and there is an option called auto assign public IP, if you enable that, whenever we are going to launch the EC2 instance in that subnet, that EC2 instance will be associated with public IP. That is the first option. Second one, enable. It doesn't matter whether the auto assign public IP is enabled or not for my subnet. I want one public to be associated with my EC2 instance, then I can go for enable. Disable means we select disable. Whenever you are going to launch the EC2 instance in subnet, doesn't matter whether it is a public subnet or private subnet, then no public IP is associated with your EC2 instance. For this demo I am going with the default option. And what I can explain here, this is the IAM role, you can assign it. I am going with none because I don't have any IAM role. And shutdown behavior, there are 2 options here, stop and terminate, which means whenever suppose I am going to select the stop option first. So what it represents is whenever I am going to shut down my instance, it will go to stop state, then it will retain over there, then I can restart it again in future. If I select this, though I am shutdowning my instance, it will go to normal shutdown and the instance will be terminated. I am going with first option. Next option is enable termination protection. This will avoid the accidental termination. So I am going to select this. What this option gives you the benefit is whenever you are going to delete that by accidentally, it will give you one pop-up. There is an enable termination protection is enabled for this. If you want to delete this, you go ahead and explicitly disable it and then you can delete that. Unless you disable this option, you cannot delete, you cannot terminate this instance. Next one, monitoring. So there is a service called CloudWatch and it will provide the default metrics. What this service does is this service go and pick the metrics like CPU, networking, etc. For every 5 minutes, it will create the metrics and it will display on the dashboard. I will show you at the end. If you want to enable additional monitoring, that is for 1 minute monitoring, then you need to pay more money. Next one, tenancy section. There are two types of tenancies, whether you wanted to dedicate the total hardware for you, it's okay to share with others. If you go with tenancy as a dedicated, which means AWS will dedicate the total hardware, obviously, which is a costlier setup, but it has more security because it is completely dedicated for you. And tenancy is shared means, let us suppose they have the hardware, AWS has the hardware wherein they can provide the 100 instances. Out of 100 I need only 50 instances, other 50 they can give it to someone, so it will be much more cheaper than dedicated instances. Next one, I'm going to storage section, add storage. Here you are going to add the root volume, and the default one for Windows is 30, but you can modify it. There are three options here: general purpose, provisioned IOPS, magnetic. This the magnetic is the old one, and for all general purpose you can select the general purpose SSD. If you have high loads kind of stuff, whenever you're going to interact with upstream and low downstream systems, batch workloads, then you can go for second option. For this demo I'm going with there is another important parameter here, delete on termination. What this represents is, if you select the delete on termination checkbox, whenever you are going to terminate your EC2 instance, your root volume will be also will be terminated. If you uncheck this and deleting your EC2 instance, though you're deleting your EC2 instance, though you're terminating your EC2 instance, your root volume will still be with you. I'm going here. You can add additionally EBS volumes. If you want more volumes, you can add EBS volumes, and if you want, you can check the delete on termination option as well. For this demo, I'm not adding EBS volumes. I'm going with root volume. Add tags. Guys, adding tags is purely optional, and you can add up to 50 tags. Adding tags is nothing but you're giving the names to your EC2 instance. Windows EC2. You can add up to 50 tags. Let me go to security details. You can configure, you can create the new security group, or you can select the existing security group. I'm going to create new one. Let us check here. Since this is the Windows instance, we are going to connect through a remote desktop. Here we have the more number of options. You can see according to your need you can select. I'm going with RDP because I'm going to connect to this particular instance through remote desktop. Basically what is security group is, you're going to construct a firewall around your EC2 instance. Both it will control both inbound traffic and outbound traffic in AWS language. What is inbound traffic is how your EC2 instance can be connected from outside world. That is nothing but a inbound traffic. How are you going to control the inbound traffic? Incoming request. Similarly, outbound traffic. How you want your EC2 instance to connect to outside world. That is nothing but a outbound traffic. Here we have the three options: custom, anywhere, my IP. If I select my IP, it will populate default my IP. I can connect to this particular instance from my IP address only. You cannot connect from anywhere. And custom, if I select custom, if I provide the CIDR block or IP or the security group, from that CIDR block or IP or security group only you can connect to this instance. For this demo I'm selecting anywhere. Anywhere means from anywhere you can connect to this instance, from any laptop, from any EC2 instance you can connect to this particular instance, and you can provide, and this is for demo, some meaningful description here, but it is optional. I'm going to review launch. In review section you can select all the details which we selected. If you want to edit, yes, you can edit. You can just review whether they are up to your requirement or not. I'm going to launch it. I'm going to create a new key pair, Windows demo. Guys, let us see here. A key pair consists of a public key that AWS stores and a private key that you store. So now you are going to create two key pairs. One is public key, another one is private key. Public key you are going to download. I'm downloading. And sorry, private key we are going to download, and public key AWS will be stored on AWS premises. Whenever you wanted to connect to your instance, your Windows instance, you're going to provide your private key, and this private key will be authenticated with public key. If both matches, then only it will allow you to connect it. But unlike your a Linux instance, you're not going to change the extension from .pm to .ppk. Instead of that, you're going to decrypt this password while connecting to your instance. I will show you that. Let me launch the instance. I'm not going to change this .pm format to .ppk, and view instance. Now it is creating. Meanwhile, I will explain you few parameters which are important. Since we didn't select the availability zone while creating the instance, AWS is creating EC2 instance in US East -1A region, 1A availability zone. Let us see the other options. Every instance will be provided with one unique ID, that is instance ID, through which you can identify this instance. Now instance is in pending state and this is turned to running. The instance type is t2.micro. Then which availability zone their EC2 instance is launched? What is your security group? And what is your AMI? Who is the owner? This is basically my ID. When this instance got created, and what is termination protection? I selected the terminated protection. It is true. If you don't select, it will be shown as false. Similarly, for every EC2 instance, one public DNS, public IP will be one public DNS and one public IP will be allocated, and one private DNS and private IPs. These are the VPC details. These are the default VPC, default security group. This is your root device and block device details. Let me show you the other options as well. Though the instance status is running, it has to pass two health checks that I'm going to show here. One is system status checks and instance status checks. AWS will provide two types of health checks. One is system level, another one is at instance level. If the instance pass these two health checks, then only you can connect to this instance. Next, let us go to monitoring section. As I said, AWS will provide the default monitoring, which means for every 5 minutes your CloudWatch service will go and pick the metrics like CPU utilization, you can see here, and disk reads, disk read operations, networking, CPU credit balance, CPU usage details. Like this, they will create some metrics. For every 5 minutes, this particular service will go and pick the metrics and it will populate here. If you want enable detailed monitoring, yes, you can enable. You need to pay the additional amount. Additional charges will apply. This will go and pick the metrics for every 1 minute. I'm not going to enable it. I will show you a few other options here. Go to actions and instance state. Here you can see start, stop, reboot, terminate, and here you can see the network related disease, cloud monitoring. Here from here also you can enable this. Guys, still it is not passed the two health checks. I am pausing my screen. Once it is ready, I will resume the recording. Guys, my instance passed two health checks. It passed two health checks, that is, you can see here, system reachability check pass, instance reachability check pass. It is 2 by 2 health checks. Now what I am going to do is I am going here, I am going to decrypt the password, choose it, and this is the key, private key we downloaded. I am going to decrypt the password. And for Windows instance, and the ID is administrator, and this is my password. I go here. You can take either public DNS or public IP, and go to start, remote desktop connection, pasting my IP address, ID is administrator, copy paste the user ID and password, just say yes. Now it is going to launch your Windows instance. Friends, this is my Windows EC2 instance. It will be like your Windows computer. You can go to Google, you can search it, and whatever you want the softwares you can install it, just like your laptop, Windows laptop, you can use it. Okay, I'm going to disconnect from here. Go to my AWS console. I'm trying to terminate this. Guys, if you remember, we disabled this option, accidental termination option, but I'm going to terminate. Let us see this. Yes, it is giving the warning. Are you sure you want to terminate these instances? These instances have termination protection and will not be terminated. So whenever you're going to select that enable termination protection option, if you are going to terminate this, then it will give you this pop-up. Until you disable that, it will not allow you to terminate the instance. Let me go here and change the termination protection. I'm going to disable it. Now I'm going to terminate my instance. Yes. So now it is going to shut down. Whenever you're going to terminate the instance, but first it will go to shut down, then the instance will be terminated. Once the instance is terminated, the instance will not be available for you to reuse it, and whatever the EBS volume we attached, those EBS volumes will also be terminated when you select the delete termination option. See this, I lost my volume also because I selected the delete on termination option while attaching this volume to my Windows instance. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and please share these videos with your friends if you think it will be useful. Thank you guys once again.